I'm not enough, rewiring your thoughts about yourself. If you are listening to this, you are obviously in the frame of mind of questioning your thoughts about yourself, your being, your self-perception about your own unique worth. Firstly, why are you thinking about this? Could it be because someone told you that you are not good enough? Did you always feel this way? Why do you feel this way? Is it because you're not reaching your goals or finding it too hard to get motivated? Are you comparing yourself to your friends or family? Or are you just sick of your current lifestyle and are thinking how it would be if you could change things? Well, it must be something along those thought patterns if you were attracted to this video. Personally, I never thought of myself as enough for so many years because I was always told from young that I shouldn't have been born and that I should have been a lawyer. And the fact that I never followed my father's dreams in my career path meant that I was a failure in his eyes. Then I made other unfortunate mistakes in my adulthood when I was younger, which further cemented his already substandard thoughts of my worth. Not to mention the constant comparison with other people's daughters and what they could buy for their fathers. So for a long time in my life, I believed him. And although it hurt me so much deep inside, I still found myself pathetically trying to win him over with telling him all my so-called achievements, which he brushed aside more often than not. Even the presents that I got for him, like a new fridge, TV, washing machine, vacuum cleaner, was all too quickly forgotten when I made mistakes. The harsh truth was that in his eyes, I never lived up to his expectations, and he made sure that I knew it and showed me no mercy, so that it was a constant reminder that to him, I was just not good enough. The sad part was that subconsciously I embedded his beliefs inside me too, and spent a great deal of my efforts till just before he passed on to keep pleasing him in every way, shape, and form. It was exhausting trying to please someone all the time, and he, as the narcissist he was, would be doing his usual tactics of talking to me normally or asking me a seemingly normal question, then out of the blues would compare me to someone else's daughter, and it would emotionally take me by surprise that I would get so crushed and upset that psychologically I would stew on those thoughts for days. Then I got married to my first husband, who treated me in exactly the same way, always belittling me. But you see, until you realize and become self-aware, you almost always repeat your patterns from the past in another relationship, and this one took the shape of my marriage. But it was the same repeated messages of unworthiness that was hurled onto me. So once again, I was experiencing the same shit, but just in a different scenario. It was my comfort zone. It's hard to find yourself when your significant others are unsupportive. I finally began to realize slowly at first, but surely. You see, a good friend of mine at the time had told me to start reading self-help books. And that's when realization set in. My old perceptions were beginning to change, and I was learning to rewire my brain, to learn that my self-worth was not dependent on anyone else, but was within me, and how deep inside I thought of myself. And 100 people could tell you about all your talents and your worth, but till you acknowledge and recognize this yourself, you will never fully believe them. Does any of what I say resonate with you by any chance? I'm sharing these thoughts with you because I've been there and have gone through the pain and have made a 360-degree change, and I'm happy to say that I'm no longer the same person. I'm no different from you. And if I can make that change, and if I could have helped so many clients and friends make the same changes, to recognize that they're more than enough, then you can begin to realize this for yourself too. First, it has to take a catalyst to break you. And when you become so broken that you feel so worthless and downtrodden, it only takes something else to trigger you to breaking point. Then you either become depressed and withdrawn from the world, or you will rise up like the phoenix from the ashes. For me, it was the latter. I divorced my first husband, so that was done and dusted. But it was still my father who had that control over me. And one day, he overstepped the line. And whilst I was devastated to the very core, I also decided on that day that I no longer cared what he thought. And with that thought, which was my new catalyst for change, and going through more processing as I realized that I would never earn his love and respect to the level he wanted to anyway. I thought to myself, to hell with him and his expectations. I'll begin to live for me and what I believe in and in what I want to do. So through much soul searching and being in a turbulent ocean, I slowly found that my boat was sailing onto calmer waters. I began to concentrate on me and to question myself about my abilities and capabilities and what others had told me before about my gifts. And I began to believe, and I began to process those thoughts. I started to think, if so many people were telling me the same thing, that perhaps it could be true. I was honest with myself and found that I had achieved a lot by myself, but had never acknowledged it because I was trying to reach the level of achievement that had been set out by another person and not myself. I then started to set out what I perceived as to what I wanted to attain for myself, what my quote and unquote good enough was about, and what my personal mission and what were my goals to reach, which were purely mine, not having to think of anyone else. It took a lot of courage, motivation, trial and error, and a lot of personal reflection and reading and listening to podcasts and friends to rewire my brain and how I wanted to think from here onwards to get to the reality that I wanted to create for myself, to reach the fact that I am more than good enough. Having gone through all that, I feel that I am happy where I am now. And though I realize that I am constantly a work in progress as I go through my journey in life, I'm happily, constantly re-evaluating myself and my worth. And I'm really elated to say that through the dark journey of the soul that I had gone through, I'm finally liberated because I wanted to change, and that change has come. And I'm now so motivated not only to keep growing and progressing, but to help others in their journey when they are stuck. So through my pain that I've shared with you, I find that I'm more than enough, and now I can say that I'm truly proud of myself, my achievements, my failures, as they have taught me how not to do things in the future, and that it's truly fine to go after my ambitions of what I'm about to do in the near future. I have made an initial plan, set off doing it, and I'm no longer scared of not being enough because I have recognized my self-worth, and in that I have enough self-respect to know what I'm truly capable of achieving. You are enough and have always been enough. The problem was that somewhere along your life, you were either programmed or conditioned to think you were not enough by toxic people who may have been family, mainly directly through your own parents or siblings. And it's time for you to take responsibility for yourself to find you and your unique worth and become not just enough, but way more than that. If I can do it and many others too, so can you. You just need to adopt a different set of beliefs and learn to discern what people say about you and their hidden motives. You get to decide if you've made mistakes, and that's fine, as we are all human and need to learn to grow. But just because you made a mistake or a few, it doesn't mean that you can't change and become more than enough. If this message resonates with one or a few of you, then I am happy that I've managed to make you see things a little differently. And hopefully for your sake that you learn to become your unique, beautiful self and accept and embrace that you are more than enough and have been ever since you were born. Have a little faith. After all, what have you got to lose? If you like this content, please share it with other people who might need to hear this, and like and subscribe to my new baby channel that I'm restarting as I get more empowered to become my true self. Thank you.